I'm sure everyone here knows about Yukimiya. He's one of the amazing strikers in the block facility, and he's even able to make headlines in the new Egoist arc. Although he is an amazing player, he wasn't really dealt the best hand, and that's what I'll be going over today. Basically going over all we know about Yukimiya as a striker and a person, and going over why he has one of the most, tragic lives in Blue Lock. But before we begin, I'd like to say that if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel, and go check out some more of my videos, since I do post Blue Lock content quite often. We first see Yukimiya in the third match of the second selection, where he's shown to be Blue Lock ranked number 5. When he first gets the ball in this match, he's able to easily get past Rin with drag scissors, and Rayo says that he throws off his opponent's center of gravity while moving the ball, then uses advanced techniques to break away at top speed. So not only is his ability his amazing dribbling, but it's also his amazing explosive acceleration. And with these skills, he's able to easily break past Rin like he was a child. He then goes on to say that soccer's foundation is one-on-one showdowns, and when it comes to this situation, he's the best in Japan. Shido then goes up to Yukimiya and tells him to face him now, and Yukimiya just responds calling him a dimwit. And while the match is happening, Rayo comments on his skills, saying that he's actually a forceful close-range fighter. And if Bachara uses technique and creativity to dodge with soft dribbling, then this guy uses power and speed to force his way through with hard dribbling. This is the number 5 King Yukimiya, the one-on-one emperor. After he gets past Shido, Ikaguri and Ikakari try to do a 2-on-1 pincer on him, and Rayo calls for a pass, but Yukimiya says simply, "We can resolve this peacefully if I just score." And Rayo comments here that not only is he planning to shoot from 30 meters away, but there's also no shot course, so it would be basically impossible. But instead of doing a straight shot, he does an amazing gyro shot, shooting it very high but with an amazingly sharp drop. While this is happening, Ryu tries to come in and intercept it, but Nagi gets there first and is able to trap the ball and says, "Yikes, that's heavy," and shoots the ball anyway, scoring for the team. And after this amazing play, Rayo says that Yukimiya's dribbling charge and gyro shot, and Nagi judging that the enemy would stop the ball and then trapping it just at the right time, isn't just any random coordination, but it's a mutually evolving relationship. Yukimiya's team ends up winning the game, and after that game, Ego decides it's time to announce the starting 11 for the U20 Japan match. Yukimiya of course made the starting 11 and was chosen for the left wing since he was, quote, an overwhelming presence who could force his way past any one-on-one matchup. So it's not only him that calls himself the one-on-one emperor, and it seems to actually be a narrative consistency that at this point in time, he was the best one-on-one player in the block facility, even being able to get past block's number 1, Rin Itoshi. Now unfortunately, Yukimiya doesn't do much in the U20 game, but he does face off against Teru, and the first time he does it, he actually loses the face off. But the next time they face off, Isagi actually joins the picture, increasing Yukimiya's passing options and creating a moment of hesitation in the defenders, which allows Yukimiya to get past Teru and shoot a shot which was unfortunately blocked by Japan's best defender, Oliver Aiku. After this, eventually Nagi's able to get the ball and actually score a goal, and Isagi actually says that goal could have been scored just as well with Yukimiya or Otoya, which shows their amazing striking capabilities. In the second half of the U20 match, Yukimiya begins a matchup with Neru once again, and because Baro's previous play threw the field into total chaos, it's his job to find the most suitable objective. And after concentrating completely, we see that he completely maps out his play and what he's gonna do, and takes the first steps forward to his ultimate performance. Starting off with getting past Neru, we see that every time he plays Neru, he gets a little bit better, and Neru says he shifted the ball to his other foot at full speed, and his touches are even more precise than before. And unlike their earlier one-on-ones when he had plenty of space, he's cutting in and out of his scattered enemies and allies, using the field's chaos to his advantage, using his street soccer style dribbling. Using the other U20 defender's body to his advantage, Yukimiya is able to get past Neru, and Neru even admits that he's going to be half a step late. But Yukimiya on the other hand can see his optimal shot course. But he's then pressed by another defender, and his course seems gone, but he's able to find just the right moment and almost leads himself into the flow state, shooting an amazing gyro shot and almost sinking it in if not for Aiku once again. Showing that in contrast to Yukimiya almost reaching flow state or reaching flow state, Aiku was able to reach it even faster, upping his amazing defense to an almost godlike level. That's all for the U20 game, and now we can go into the Neo Egoist League. In the Neo Egoist League, Yukimiya decided to play with the tactical and analytical Germany team and learn over there. After doing the Germany Stratum's little training program to see their rankings, Yukimiya actually ranked number 13, right above Neru of the Japanese U20 team who he was clashing with and even losing to in that game. But he's also able to get above people like Corona, Hiyori, and Gagamaru. And to be honest, the only people that were able to rank above him were the people that were already on the Germany team, which isn't very surprising, and of course the wild card, Kunigami. Now unfortunately, Yukimiya doesn't showcase his abilities in the Spain match, which is actually the first match that the Germany team faces, but he does have an interesting interaction right before the England match, which showcases his ego. Basically, the Blue Lockers on the Germany team are talking about how Isagi made the regulars and who they need to destroy in order to make the regulars as well. Yukimiya comes on the scene and says he'll never accept it, and how can he pass if he wants to be in the regulars, and he has reservations about his character as someone who aspires to be the best striker in the world. Mind you, this is all in reference to Isagi's pass to Kunigami at the end of the Spain match. Isagi says that it's not like he wants to pass, but Yukimiya just responds, "Oh really? But that doesn't change the fact that I'm disappointed in you." And Isagi ends up asking him if he would have passed if he was in the same position. And Yukimiya just responds he wouldn't, and he wouldn't feel good about that kind of pass. Isagi responds that it's not about making himself feel good, but it's the result of focusing on what he could challenge in his own way, and that he has no regrets about making the choice, but he's also well aware of how powerless he was. Yukimiya just says that if that were the case, you could have been wise and lost by yourself, but getting an assist is such a small-minded approach. Isagi then stands up and says, "Are you trying to pick a fight with me right now?" And Yukimiya just says, "Not really, he's just saying what he's thinking." And Isagi responds quickly saying, "If so, then speak only after you realize your own ideals, and that if you could become a regular with just lip service, then even an idiot can do it," and ends the conversation by calling Yukimiya blind to reality. But Yukimiya goes on to say that don't expect your righteousness to be accepted by everyone, and so long as my ideas are far out of sight, I will fight until I die. Yukimiya's anger and ego right here make Isagi visibly flinch, and even make Hiyori and Igaguri jump in just to stop them from potentially beginning a fight. And just as this is happening, Kaiser comes out of the showers and tries to recruit Yukimiya to his side of the Germany team, saying that you're jealous of Yoichi's circumstances, aren't you? We're all afraid to face the reality of our own weakness, so we shift the issue by finding fault in others who have had success. Eventually, they run from their ideals, and it's a repulsive, stupid, and trivial emotion. Yukimiya just responds, "Thanks for the humility, but that doesn't mean I'll be joining you, Kaiser." After this chapter, we get a flashback to Yukimiya's backstory, where we see that he's always wanted to be the best striker in the world. But out of nowhere, his vision started decreasing, and he started seeing black spots in his vision. He decided to go to the doctor and see what was wrong with it, and the doctor just says tunnel vision and appearance of blind spots when you're fatigued. It's optic neuropathy. The progression of this eye disease cannot be stopped, and it's accompanied by headaches and nausea. Worst case, it'll lead to blindness. However, with the proper treatment, progression can be slowed, so generally, you shouldn't be concerned about going blind. Telling Yukimiya he can model and go about his daily life without any problems. But then Yukimiya asks, "What about soccer?" To which the doctor replies, "You won't have any problems with it as a sport as long as it's just a hobby, but to continue playing the same way as it progresses, to be honest, I find that difficult. It's unfortunate, but I must say that the path to becoming a pro will be difficult." He then begins breaking down and asks the doctor is there anything that he did wrong, and that he just wanted to become the best soccer player in the world. The doctor then tells him to give it his all, and that he'll support him so that he can become a pro, but his condition will continue to progress, and that the time Yukimiya can be exerted to perform will be limited. But Yukimiya does not stop chasing his dreams, and says that his time is running out, but before he completely loses sight of his fading dream, he will be the best striker in the world. Now back to the present, Isagi's comment about how Yukimiya is blind to reality really hit hard, and that was the reason why Yukimiya's ego started really flaring up at that moment, and which was what made Hiyori cut in. And after training and seeing his blind spots once more emerge, Yukimiya finally recognizes his own weakness and is very frustrated at how Isagi is getting everything he wants in the new Egoist League. But instead of failing and losing, he decides that he's prepared to die with his ideal and will prove his existence his own way. Before the Manshine City match, we see that Noah is announcing the regulars, and Yukimiya is of course chosen, and we actually get to see Yukimiya's stats where he has an overall of 82, a speed of an 89, defense of 76, pass of 77, a dribbling of 91, a shooting of 86, and an offense of 88. Giving him 3 A's, 2 B's, and an S tier in dribbling. Noah himself also comments on Yukimiya's abilities, saying that he has very competent numbers, meaning it'd be a waste to put him on the bench, and that he hopes to use his speed to cover the left side, but he's expecting to use his abilities for offense and defense, and hopefully give a new stimulus to the team. In the Manshine City team match, Yukimiya doesn't really do much but block one of Nagi's shots, but after Noah and Chris Prince sub in, Yukimiya notices that he hasn't really done anything all game and he's just been running around like an idiot. He says that his eyes are still fine, but his vision's getting a little blurry, but he hasn't stood out at all, and he's lucky that he didn't get subbed out just now, and if this match continues like it is right now, he won't ever get another chance. The score is 2-2, 1 goal left, this is it, this is my last chance, I need to put my life on the line. and he says he'll be the one to steal the last goal. Eventually, Chigiri is able to get the ball, but on defense, Yukimiya starts going up on him, and he says it's time to defang and declaw you. And Chigiri says from all the way from the other side, he was keeping up with my top speed, which if this is true, is an absolutely amazing feat for Yukimiya. Since as we know, Chigiri has a speed stat of 98, putting him 2 points away from a total 100. But Chigiri is able to do a fake shot and cut to shake off Yukimiya. After this, Chris Prince shoots his amazing illogical shot, which is blocked by Isagi, and Corona gets the second ball but passes it to Isagi, and out of nowhere Yukimiya comes in and blocks Isagi, stealing the ball from him. Yukimiya then says, "Don't think the world revolves around you, this is my game now, I'm running out of time," and begins going through the defense. He's able to easily get past Chigiri and Ryo, and before we see the rest of the play, we get a flashback again of him asking the doctor how his condition is. The doctor responds that he looks good, and his eyes aren't getting better, but they haven't gotten any worse either. The doctor tells him to take it easy and be patient, and for now that's all he can do. Yukimiya responds to the doctor, telling him that he finally feels like he's coming to terms with his diagnosis. He asks the doctor if he knows the phrase that God will never give us more than we can handle, and says that that's why he believes that God wouldn't give him this condition if he wasn't able to overcome it. He continues with his all-out chaotic counter, going through every defender he comes in contact with, and finally gets in front of the goal. While taking his shot, he says that God never gives us more than we can handle, and shoots his signature gyro shot. But out of nowhere, Chris Prince comes in and blocks the shot and calls it pathetic, destroying Yukimiya's last shred of hope. And we see that the text blurb at the end of this chapter reads, "Despite Yukimiya betting his entire career on the line, his chance for glory gets snuffed out by Chris Prince. In the end, God was not merciful." Yukimiya's spirit is shattered by the cruel reality of the vast gulf separating him from the world's elite. In the start of the next chapter, we go to Thierry Henry and Ego talking about Yukimiya, and Henry says that if that had gone in, Yukimiya would have scored a super goal, beating 6 defenders like that, but Chris Prince is someone not to be underestimated. Ego responds saying for him to do that, he would have needed to juke those last 2 defenders and also win a 1v1 duel against Chris Prince. And by the time the rest of the defense would have caught up, either way, his chances of scoring were pretty much 0. And Ego says in fact, he's glad that Chris Prince blocked it, since if that shot had gone in, the after effects would have been disastrous in the long run, just like Nagi's goal. He ends it off by saying even if he did score the goal, given his current abilities, it would have been a fluke, and the reason that Yukimiya failed is because he thinks too highly of himself. And finally, success won't come to people who blind themselves with deluded fantasies. After this, we go back to the field where Isagi asks Yukimiya to team up with him and says that right now this is probably the most beneficial and rational option for both of them. Yukimiya replies telling him that he is the hero of the story and that he'll overcome this challenge with his own power. And after a lengthy and heated argument, Isagi simply ends it by saying, "Just watch, soon you and your precious fantasies will sink straight to hell." The game starts up again and Yukimiya steals the ball from under Ness and begins running with it and encounters Ryo. Ryo is able to steal the ball from Yukimiya, and in the midst of all this, Isagi is actually beginning to understand the mechanisms of protagonism or egocentrism. He says that there are countless stories and protagonists orbiting the earth. He realizes that Yukimiya and him couldn't see eye to eye because he was unconsciously using him as a side character in his own story, and regardless of who's correct, if they don't both behave as a protagonist, they'll never be able to construct a new goal. And that the way he was thinking previously was way too shallow, but he has a new piece now, and he'll grasp it using metavision. After this, Noa begins coordinating with Isagi, exponentially increasing Isagi's options, and Yukimiya is just watching it all happen. And he thinks back to when Isagi asked him to play with him since that was the most rational way to play, and he says that even though he understands that what Isagi's saying is realistically correct, he didn't want to think realistically, because if he were to think this way, he would have given up on his dreams a long time ago. Due to protagonism at this time, Isagi is able to read that Yukimiya's main enemy right now and target is Isagi, so he just says, "Come at me, protagonist." As Yukimiya and Isagi are running together, Yukimiya tries to do the same thing that he did to Corona to steal the ball from Isagi, but Isagi at that moment is able to get into Yukimiya's blind spot and slip behind him, forcing him to take on the defender that was in front of Isagi. And at that moment, Yukimiya realizes that they've been dancing in the palm of Isagi's hand the entire time, and he says that Isagi Yoichi will definitely become a player that changes the world, and Yukimiya's fantasy will just fade completely into obscurity, forgotten forever. After Noa dealt with Isagi's last defending piece, which was Chris Prince, Isagi's then faced with Michael Kaiser, who tries to stop him. Kaiser says, "Do you have a vision of a goal, Isagi Yoichi? Your weapon is a direct shot, so if I can make you get out of the position and force you to trap the ball, your talent's worthless." But at that moment, Isagi unexpectedly did a backheel pass to Yukimiya, saying, "The one I plunged into darkness, he will resurrect from the verge of death." He then grabs Kaiser and says, "Could you have imagined this last pass, Kaiser? Even if it's only once, my challenge is to dethrone you. This choice is my best piece. This is what will lead me to flow. How's that, Kaiser? How does it feel to become a clown of my story?" And tells Yukimiya to shoot. At this moment, Yukimiya's mind is filled with many amazing thoughts, but he says no matter how far he falls, he won't hand over this ego, not even to God himself, and shoots an amazing gyro shot. But Ryo in his flow state says he saw that coming and goes to defend it and almost made it, but the shot just dropped even more, and it's revealed that it's actually inspired by Chris Prince's knuckle shot, and that this is his new shot with increased oblique rotation, a sword screw shot, scoring the final goal in this game. In this moment, both Isagi and Yukimiya were able to achieve their goals. Isagi was able to dethrone Kaiser, and Yukimiya was able to score a goal and prove himself. And after the goal, Yukimiya and Isagi end up apologizing to each other and end up actually becoming rivals. At this point in the story, Yukimiya is still falling behind Isagi, with Isagi being able to get past him in training and also scoring goals in the Ubers match. But I'm definitely hyped up to see what Yukimiya will come up with next, since like we mentioned before, his time is running out and he only has so much time in order to prove that he's the best in the world and show the world what he actually has. But that's all I have for today. But if you enjoyed the video, of course make sure to like and subscribe, and also comment down below some topics you'd like me to go over in the future. But yeah, goodbye.